You are now listening to the Be Your Own #Love Goals podcast with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
We just want you to remember that every person, regardless of identity, wants these three things: belonging, authenticity, and love.
And after a decade of partnership, we've learned to co-create these things and so much more.
So from wherever you're listening, we're going to go on a journey of becoming our own #Love Goals. Now let's get into this episode. You are now listening to the Be Your Own Love Goals podcast with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We are so happy to have you here. We're going to get this started with a listener question. So we're going to go ahead and play that question, and then we'll have our episode.
I'm excited.
Yay.
Hey Mo, hey Tiffany, my name is Sean Jackson. Thank you so much for holding space for me today and my question. So a few years ago, I connected with this really amazing woman, and at the time, I did identify as cisgender woman. And since then, I have decided to walk in my true path and transition into the trans male that I am today. Unfortunately, through these years, the person that I love and I care about deeply is really having a hard time accepting the person that I am today. So my question is to the both of you is, how do we maneuver through the space of acceptance of who I once was versus who I am today? Thank you so much.
Wow. First, thank you for your bravery.
Thank you so much.
And for trusting us with your story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so grateful for you reaching out to us and sharing that with us.
Yes.
I just want to honor your authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like touched by your journey. Of course, I identify as non-binary transgender, so I really relate to the courage it takes to walk in your purpose and in your truth. What it takes to get up every day and navigate gender transition, not knowing how you're going to be received, having to interface with every single system that's set up to oppress you, and to be in love with another person and want them to also see you and not be navigating that difficulty. So I'm really sorry to hear that your love is having difficulty navigating gender transition with you and understanding your journey or just like really supporting you. And I'm honored that you felt comfortable even sharing that with us and allowing us to talk about this. So I want you to know that as we approach this question today, that we'll be approaching this question with honor first, respect, and love.
Lots of love.
Because this is so personal to us. So I guess we should start this episode. Well, first I'll let Tiffany share if she wanted to say anything. But we'll start this episode with maybe a little bit more background from us on how we navigated that. And then we'll get into sharing how you might approach this next part of your journey.
Right.
But of course, we're only offering love and suggestions. We really believe that everyone has to be their own love goals. So we want you to do what feels like it honors you, and connect with me on social media and message me if, like, after this episode, if you feel like there's more that you want our advice on or support. I want to connect with you personally.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, for being so transparent and allowing the space for us to share in community and share love with you. I am so grateful for the opportunity. And I just want to share hugs, love to you and your love during this process. And as Mo mentioned, I echo a lot of the sentiments that he shared. I'm honored to share a little bit of our journey and how I, as a partner to Mo, has navigated this process. And so thank you so much. So much love. Just sending you so much love. I'm very touched by your story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you'll have some valuable insights to share because, let's just go back. I think that this question warrants us to walk down memory lane, because most people that look at me today, and I hope you're watching this episode. If you are not watching this episode, please, and you don't know what I look like or Tiffany, like, please just go look at this on YouTube or Spotify, because most people that meet me today, probably couldn't guess where I started in this journey. So if you saw me maybe 10 years ago when I met Tiffany, it's probably going on 11 years when I met you now. Wow.
20, going on 11.
I met you 11 years ago. First of all, we met in our sorority. So we both became members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in 2011. And at the time, I think I was becoming more and more aware of my sexual orientation, being more bisexual, pansexual. It was clear that I was like more of like this fluid person. But I don't think the gender thing had dawned on me. So at the time, I had these nudges, like something was off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I would wear, my favorite outfit might be like a mini skirt, but I might have on like a nice Gap sweater over a button up that had like, and then wear a bow tie with it. So it was like femme, but like playfully masculine, but if you could even call that masculine. And now my hair was long. I was wearing the makeup. I was doing all the things. And at the time that felt aligned, that felt like comfortable, because I got a lot of validation for that. It felt like, this is how I'm supposed to be. Now, something in the back of my head is like, this is off. Something is off, but I still don't think that I could name it.
Yeah.
I will say that getting closer to you, leaning more into our relationship over the next, the few years following our meeting, I would say it took us a few years to really figure things out. As we finally got deeper into our relationship, then the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, I was doing something that people didn't expect me to do. Like, I'm in a relationship with a woman. That was like a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, what else can I do out of the box?
Yeah.
Finally, I'm coloring outside of the lines. But before then, I had been like, an identical twin. I went to Northwestern. I'd done all the respectability things. Like, I was really trying to,
you were doing it
to make my parents proud. So by the time I got in a relationship with Tiffany, and, that took a little family therapy, but we still, we have family acceptance of our relationship. By that time I was like, oh, there is definitely something different happening inside of me. And so I was able to name, eventually, after going to group therapy, being in individual therapy, I am not cisgender. That means I do not ascribe to the gender that people expect for somebody with my anatomy. Meaning I could care less about other people's assumptions about what, like, how my anatomy should dictate how I dress. That is not working for me. I don't know how we came up with these rules that if you have a vagina, you need to be in a skirt, but this does not work for me anymore. If you got a vagina, you should be able to wear whatever you want to wear. So there were just these fireworks going off inside of me, like, F gender. I don't know what this is. This is all a social construction. And eventually I was like, Tiffany, I got something to tell you. I think I had been spending hours and hours on social media looking at melanated trans men, the social media account. I was looking at people's before and after pictures, and I was like, this is me. Yeah. It didn't take that long for me to be like, wow, my whole story. Then all these memories come back of me trying to stand to pee as a kid, or like being like a 5-6-year-old trying to be cool.
Right.
But I had all these memories come back. And then I realized that I was trying to play with masculinity. I didn't understand what that was, what that meant as a little Black girl on the south side of Chicago. I just knew that my 4 brothers and my father had access to this thing, and I did not. And I didn't like being told girls aren't supposed to spit. I didn't like being told you're not supposed to be standing up to pee. I was like, what? This is a crime that I cannot do these things just because.
I totally get it.
So all of these memories came rushing back, and I told Tiffany, I am transgender. And she was like, okay. And I literally think she said, what do you want for dinner? Like, and I was like, wait, this is a whole thing. This is supposed to be an event. I think she asked me more questions like, okay, what does that mean and things, but it just wasn't this whole thing that I thought it was going to be with you. And I remember at the time feeling grateful. I also remember at the time being like, she's the one. I had to take a deep breath because that just almost knocked me out of my seat saying that out loud. I'm not going to cry on this podcast today. I know I've been talking for a while, but so much of that journey of me understanding who I was happened inside of my head by myself. And that's so much for so many transgender people. By the time that we are announcing to other people, people have to understand we have done a lot of individual work, a lot of time alone, and we've spent a lot of time lonely in that process, I would say, before we're even sharing, because it takes a lot of courage to be able to say. And so I felt honored, and I knew I was blessed in that moment where you were like, okay, what do you want for dinner? And I still love you just the same. Nothing's different. And now I can't unsee this because you're always you. I felt like she's the one. And the one meaning like the person that I know for certain is going to love me unconditionally. And I knew if we could get through that, we could get through anything. And that's what I'm looking for in terms of like partnership on this journey. So at the time, it really kind of like knocked me off my feet. And then I've been kind of really, if you want to make a Leo loyal, Leos are already very loyal, but like, to a fault, but like, it just made me extra, extra loyal, just knowing that you would love every single iteration of who I am. Me in any form. I could come back as a frog. I could come back in any form and you would still love me. That felt like you saw me beyond my body and you saw my soul. And I remember knowing that I was blessed. And I remember thinking about how many of my clients don't have that experience, how many people I've held in session, like their story that as soon as they began to transition, it changed their relationships. And so I was afraid to tell you, but I was so glad that I did. And as I think about Sean, I'm reminded of what it felt like to be in that moment, knowing that I hate the word lucky, but it almost feels lucky. Like I escaped something that usually is the case for a lot of transgender people. And I want to say that out loud so that nobody hearing my story believes that my story is common. There's a lot of heartbreak on the other side of coming out for people. And so when somebody tells you that they're transgender or they honor you with any of their identities, honor them back in love.
Absolutely.
Tiffany, I'm going to let you talk because I just went on my whole thing because my heart just like broke wide open. Hearing Sean's voice, hearing his story, just beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sean.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sean. And thank you, Mo, for sharing your story and sharing, or me having the opportunity to witness your journey and your evolution. And I am not going to cry.
Yes, you are.
I have on a full face of makeup that I'm not about to mess up. But vulnerability, if I do, I do. But I'm just so grateful to be on this journey. I feel like I have learned so much about myself and my capacity. my capacity to love.
Yeah.
And you may not remember this, but even before you said to me with confidence, I'm transgender, you said to me, what if I am transgender? And I think it was the moment where you were deep into this, Instagram and researching what it looked like and all of these things. And me personally, I had never met, to my knowledge, a transgender person. So I literally had no idea what it looked like, what the process would be like anything. I just was like, I'm a person who considers myself a lifelong learner. And I was like, okay, you should probably figure that out. In a very I didn't think it was dismissive at the moment. I was just like, this seems important. It seems like something you should explore. And so then you came back to me and said, I think I'm transgender. And I probably did say, so you want salmon or chicken for dinner?
Yeah.
But back to my earlier point, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to witness you. I mean, what you looked like externally 10 years ago is extremely different.
Yeah.
But who you are on the inside, and how I experience you and the love I feel from you is the exact same.
Oh.
And I'm just grateful that there's no other word I can say to describe that. I'm just very grateful. And it is my desire that any person that is transitioning has the love and support from people who see them, encourage their curiosity, and celebrate their authenticity.
Yeah.
And so my deepest desire is for you to have that, Sean.
Yeah.
And I hope and pray that us sharing our story and our journey and how we got through transition will be a blessing to you and your love.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful to think about all the possibilities that exist when we allow love to come in and expand us. And I just want to go back to the part of our journey where I begin to transition. I begin to look more masculine on the outside. I do feel like there were shifts in our relationship dynamic. And I wonder if you can speak to them, because I wonder if for a lot of people, and I'll say, I'll make some assumptions here and make sure I was hearing Sean correctly. I want to fill in the blanks here, that you are with a cisgender woman. And so I'll put that in a blank here, and I'll say, for women who are in relationship with someone who is presenting as a man, that can begin to shift the relationship dynamic subconsciously more than we realize. So as Tiffany began to experience me as more of a masculine person, I know that there were moments where stuff started to come up for you around men. Had nothing to do with me. As you just heard her crying, telling me I'm the same person, ain't nothing changed. I know subconsciously she was starting to respond to me like how she responds to me, and it relates. And so for a lot of women, I imagine that comes up anytime they're shifting from being in a relationship with who they thought was a woman to being in a relationship with you in your authentic form as a masculine person. They didn't have to contend with all the stuff they had buried down there about their fathers, about their uncles, their brothers, grandfathers, any generational stuff around men. They don't get to escape by being in a relationship with a woman. Now they're in a relationship with a man, and they didn't sign up for that.
Exactly.
But there is a way to heal it and be in love with you because you're not different. Your soul didn't change. Let's be clear about that.
Let's be very clear.
The outside presentation of that has shifted, but who you are, the things you say, the way you laugh, the way you joke, none of that has changed. What it is like to be a human in relationship with someone who's transitioning does begin to shift your external view of them, your relationship to them, because of the stuff that comes up in from your subconscious about their gender. And it might not be things that you're aware of. So I'm going to throw that back to Tiffany because Tiffany can speak to that more personally. I just want to kind of tee it up because I know for a fact, you know, there were many moments, and I'll just give an example before I tee it up. So for instance, Tiffany's patience with me being her patience with me and my smart comments is thin now. Whereas before, I felt like I had more of a temper, I would say. As a Leo feminine presenting person, I definitely got away with a lot of being passionate and fiery and running my mouth. But like as a mass person, Tiffany's rope is a lot shorter, understandably so, right? Because of the society we live in and how she's experiencing me as a masculine person. And we've had to have conversations about what might be coming up with regard to that. And I've also needed to like shorten my little fiery self and, you know, whatever, and become aware of that. But that's just one example of how that has started to shift in our dynamic. Other things have shifted in our dynamic too. Like I noticed when I'm like with like a group of women, then they all stop and wait for me to open the door, which I am happy to do because I love to show that I'm so strong. But it's just simple things that begin to shift that we are not conscious to always. If you have been trained, let the man open the door, then you're not thinking about that subtle shift as it's happening. But it is something that begins to shift your relationship dynamic without you noticing. So now you're starting to relate physically, like just your body to that person's body differently without knowing it. And it can do all kinds of things to your brain and how you're thinking about them. Let alone if you're taught, I'm 5'11", so I already had height. Let me put on these little shoes I got on right now, and I'm like 6 feet. You can't tell me nothing.
Oh my God!
But that means that I've got like I'm I'm probably, if Tiffany will tell you that I'm only 5 inches taller than her, then because she thinks she's like 5'6", but she's not.
I am.
So I have like 6 or 7 inches taller than Tiffany when I have on like shoes. And so she could even be relating to my body differently in my masculine presenting form. Now I'm lifting weights and all of this, right? So I believe all this stuff started to happen subconsciously. So I want you to speak to that, Tiffany, especially speak to it from the perspective of someone who is watching their partner transition and subconsciously shifting with them.
Well, I 100% feel like there was a shift, just to confirm. And I feel like a majority of that shift I was not aware of until most recently. And when I say most recently, I say during the pandemic, like over the past 3 years. I think that it was beautiful that I was able to integrate. He's transgender. This is what it is. However, that integration was it was immediate. And so with it being immediate, it was like in the moment before you told me that, I was operating with you as if you were a feminine presenting person. And immediately it shifted because I integrated it. But all these other things shifted that I didn't know about.
And my presentation didn't shift immediately. So it didn't shift in my recognition that it didn't become aware or apparent to me until much later. These things had shifted. I just was noticing little differences here or there.
And so any of the daddy issues, the uncle issues, the issues with men in general came to the surface. It was like you were a direct mirror to me and the work that I had to continue to do in my relationship with men. And I was like, I don't want no parts of that. But my externalizing of the I don't want no parts of that was in how I related to you, maybe my behavior towards you. But I really was not aware of it on a conscious level. But I absolutely 100% was operating with you in a way that was different than before you told me you were transgender.
We're going to have an episode about love languages, but I really feel like your love language shifted.
I think so. And I think it, looking back on it now, I can see, as much as I try not to be like a traditional gender role kind of person, this experience has highlighted to me how many of those things were present for me and how many of those things I came face to face with.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are maybe even chores, that before you told me you were transgender, I was fine doing.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
I would go to the trash chute like it was nobody's business. La 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 la. To this day, I will watch the trash pile up there and not take it outside because
I don't want you to.
You don't want me to, but also I just feel like it's not my responsibility. It's not my chore.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that's a very basic example.
I feel this way about the dishwasher, but somehow.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding.
You had one job.
My one job is to unload it, and I don't do that. We can get back to this episode.
So I will just say that there were like you're saying, I'm agreeing with you. There were a lot of subtle shifts in how I related to you. And I am willing to bet that for many people that might be in my shoes of, walking the journey of being with a partner that is transitioning, that you might potentially be experiencing your own personal, be it resistance or awareness of biases or awareness of some difficulty that you still have in relationship, whether it's men, women, whatever whatever the demographic is, that it could be you meeting this resistance or this challenge and not wanting to deal with it or having fear about how you might show up in it. And I was not that aware in the moment of how I was showing up. Looking back on it, I was like, ooh, I could have navigated that a bit differently. And so I just encourage you, if you are in my shoes, to really sit with not your partner's transition, not what's happening, but what's coming up for you. Because I think that these opportunities are mirrors for us and they allow us to see things about ourselves. Not necessarily that we don't like, but things that we need to take a deeper look at.
Yeah. And this goes for everybody, because I don't want you to walk away from this episode if you're in a relationship with anybody going through anything and you're not a woman, that you're like, oh, I can't relate to Tiffany, because this really goes for anybody. I've dated all kinds of people. I have literally dated all kinds of people, all genders. I don't ascribe to any kind of scripts around that. I look at people for their soul. And so a lot of the people, I would say definitely several of the guys I dated prior to Tiffany have come back and been like very loving toward me. And there's clearly still that, like, I just see you as Mo. And I think that that's what shows me, like, no matter who I was in relationship with, there is this possibility that there could be, they'd have to do their work, but there could be the potential for them to see beyond the physical. And I think that that's the challenge here today. Is for whoever you're in relationship with, for them to be more than just their physical body. if you can look into their soul, look into the qualities that they possess, and really ask yourself, do I want to be in relationship with them, the soul? That's the part of them that transcends lifetimes. That's the part of them that will be with you throughout the rest of this lifetime. Because if you're in a relationship with someone for everything to stay the same, it's not. Their personalities change over time. Their physical bodies do shift over time. There's been a lot of weight attached to gender in our society. And I challenge anybody, even if you thought that you were heterosexual, can you be, in this instance, could Tiffany be mosexual?
Period.
Regardless of the form I come in, could she just love me? Could I be Tiffany sexual? I think I am.
I'm definitely mosexual. Let's set the record straight, okay?
Can you think about your life and your lived experiences, regardless of how your body has changed? Are there people in your life where you like, they just love me for me?
And I also would like to add too, Mo, that even if the physical is not necessarily a challenge or a struggle for you, to also think about you, the person that you love in your relationship. Because I know another piece of this for me was the external. How are other people going to feel about me loving a transgender person? And being in a relationship with a transgender person? Even if I fully accept you, I'm like, yes, you're transgender, I'm good with this. That need for external validation can really impact your ability to be present to your relationship, to your partner, and ultimately it can impact your level of vulnerability or willingness to continue the relationship. So you really have to sit with how much you honor the person you're in relationship with and your relationship against this need for external validation. And I am not by any stretch of the imagination saying that this is an easy process.
It's not an easy process.
It's one that it continues to be something that I have to keep reevaluating and thinking about. And so I just encourage you to focus in on your relationship and what you need as a couple, in your dynamic, aside from what might be external. Because I think that's another added piece here that can make it difficult or can make things a bit more challenging.
Yeah. That external validation piece, like what our families might say, what our friends might say, I think that can be the most challenging part to navigate, because now you have to step out into the world. Let's say you were a hetero couple before, now you're stepping into the world maybe then as like a queer couple. Or maybe you were identified as a lesbian before, but now you're like, does this make me hetero? Like what is my presentation now? I am uncomfortable with this. Something that I wasn't willing to own early into my gender transition was that my transition impacted a lot of other people. Because I wasn't able to own that, because I hadn't yet understood that our identities are only social constructions, meaning that they only exist in social relationship. I'm not saying that to downplay gender. I'm saying it because it means that anything that happens to our social identities is deeply connected to everybody else's identity. So, for instance, I went because I changed my gender and I said, I am Mo Ari. I identify as non-binary trans masc. That is what y'all gonna call me. I am now not an identical twin, right? I have an identical twin sister, but I don't identify with this terminology. So I'm shifting. Now she's got a brother when she thought she had. Now she got 5 brothers and she thought she had a twin sister. Now she's in it by herself. My mom and dad have another son. That's a whole thing. So many people's identities were so connected to me and my sister being their siblings. So people would be like, the twins mom, the twins brother. No, now it's like not that. And that still comes up for them. Like, people haven't seen them for years. They'll be like, the twins mom. Like, you don't have a name. You're the twins mom.
Yeah.
And then she has to feel that grief of like, well, actually, no. You know? And I wasn't aware that my identity was impacting other people. And so I wasn't always ready to sit with them in that grief. But something that I wish I could go back and do differently was really sit with people in the grief that was coming up for them. And reassuring them they're not really losing me. They're gaining more of me. Because now I get to show up in my relationship with you whole. Now I get to be even more of an evolved person in relationship with you. I get to smile more. I get to laugh more. I get to like just be more free in our relationship. Reassuring them of that, I think, would have kept no, everything needed to happen how it was going to happen. But I would like to think that it could have delayed some of the endings that needed to happen. Or at least kept the relationships that I do still have in a different shape through that process. A lot of what I ended up doing was breaking down to build back up, which is the grief process. It happened how it was supposed to happen. But for anybody else, if I could help people to learn from, you know, what I would consider would be a mistake on my part, was to not hold space for other people's grief. You know, like I really wish I could go back and do that. And if that was the necessary case in our relationship with my relationship with Tiffany, I would go back and say, check in regularly and say, hey babe, how you processing? I would start exploring some of those good family therapy tools. Is anything that comes up for you about men now that you see me?
And I think that open invitation, I would say even in the least that open invitation, because I imagine as a person that is physically and socially and all the other ways going through the transition, that holding space for another person's grief is probably the last thing on your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
it's next level.
Yeah, I would say that the check-in or some semblance of openness is, I would say at the bare minimum could be very helpful in a relationship.
I'm glad that you said that, because as I'm thinking about holding space, I'm always expecting mutual respect. So I wasn't even thinking about the possibility that somebody would have you hold space and be disrespectful. So absolutely. Do not hold space for somebody that cannot be respectful. That is a baseline to even interact with you, because they ought to be respectful if they're going to keep being in a relationship. So I'm definitely saying, you know, holding space where you can to the degree that it feels still respectful, you know, holding space for their grief and their process. But that can even look like, I think there have been many moments where I've come to you and I've been like, do you like how my beard feels on your face? Because that was just a new phenomenon. I'm like, well, what is that like for you? So those are little ways that we can begin to just start that conversation, because I think the conversation has to be ongoing. We can't find out our partner is transitioning and then just never talk about it again. And so if there's somebody in your life that doesn't really want to go there because they're uncomfortable, you like keep challenging them to keep talking. Because the more that we process, the more we heal. There are things that are coming up. And I like to believe that anything that's coming up and it's activating is coming up to be healed. There are things that get stuffed down inside of us. And so when they come up and they feel visceral like that, like, you know, we're upset or we want to step back or it's activating in any way, it's because it's coming up to be healed. It's only ever coming into our awareness to be healed. And so if I can accept that, then I know what to do with the stuff when it comes up. It's an opportunity to heal it. So if you've got the daddy, brother, uncle, any of that stuff coming up, it's coming up to be healed. This relationship with me is an opportunity to heal it. The relationship with Sean is an opportunity to heal it. The relationship with anybody listening is the opportunity to heal it. And this goes for anybody beyond gender transition. If there's anything that's ever activating you inside of a relationship, accept that is coming up to be healed so you can heal it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drops the mic. I mean, you said it spot on. I feel like if I could leave people with anything today, particularly people in my shoes who, may be struggling to navigate this journey of transition with their partner, is to really get personal. And when I say get personal, I mean, think about what does this mean for you?
Yeah.
What's coming up for you? Allow yourself to be vulnerable. And it is my deepest desire that your partner will be able to hold mutual space for you all to discuss this and talk about it in a respectful way and seek support if necessary. Or if there's people in your tribe that might be able to help facilitate these conversations, or therapy, or any of the tools or resources, because they can be very helpful so that you don't feel like you're alone in this process. Just lean in and be vulnerable. I think that there could be a lot of fear here, a lot of fear of acceptance, and the fear of having to come out yet again, or whatever the thing may be. And so I just really encourage you to think about what it means for you personally. Not take it personally, because it's not about you, but think about what is coming up for you that needs to be healed through the relationship.
Yeah, and if for anybody listening, and especially you, Sean, if your partner wants to reach out to Tiffany privately,
please.
She won't share that with me. If it's anything that your partner wants to share with her and wants like guidance on or support, this is why we have community. Mm-hmm. We take that seriously.
Absolutely.
And you feel free to reach out to have them feel free to reach out to Tiffany. And feel free to reach out to me for support as well. So I'm just like really grateful. Those resources you just listed, I feel like there's nothing else to be said after that. I just found that to be really beautiful love resources for the community. So thank you for sharing that too, Tiff.
Thank you. And thank you for your story and your journey and allowing me to walk side by side with you.
That is so sweet. Thank you for being with me. Again, I just felt really, really blessed to have you make that commitment to expand and evolve with me and just see where it goes, regardless of how my outside changed. Yeah. I'm glad you like the products.
I love the products. Okay.
But you had to allow there were some questionable years in there where I was
okay.
Not questionable on your end, questionable on how I was going to look.
Oh, stop.
It was a time. The beard just came in a couple years ago.
It's giving. Okay. It's bearding for me.
But yeah, so I really appreciate you all listening. Yes. This has been Be Your Own Love Goals with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
We look forward to hearing from you all soon. Make sure you all subscribe on all of the channels and you send in your questions, because we love to answer your questions too. Have a great day. Be well.
Bye. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Video episodes are on YouTube and Spotify.
If you want your question included in an upcoming episode, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Be Your Own Love Goals, or check out our website at lovegoalspodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Bye.